And Alita Burkhart. Burkhart has not appeared here virtually.
In person.
Okay, so she walked out.
Mhm.
Okay, because she saw you and all your friends.
Like, but I don't know why. I didn't think I was gonna come.
Okay. Stand and raise your right hand for me. And Ms. Burkhart is your boyfriend's mom?
He recently passed. So yeah.
Okay, he has passed. And his mother, you said, continues to come into your house?
Yeah, and tries to take the belongings that were ours together as a couple, thinking that she has a right to them, apparently.
Okay. And does she live next door, or where does she live relative to you?
We live on a property that has 4 separate addresses, and she lives at the very far end one.
And is she your landlord?
No.
Do you own the house?
No. I'm renting.
And who's the landlord?
Joe Shannon.
Okay, so neither one of you own the house.
Mm-mm.
Okay, and she just walks into your house?
Yeah.
And if you told her she can't do that?
Yeah.
And she keeps coming in?
She decided to come into my house when I was at the hospital with her son on life support where she should have been, and took the things that we got as a couple for our home, like a weed eater, barbecuer, just those things. Didn't grab anything of Steven's. Like she's telling people like that she grabbed his clothes, stuff, all the stuff's still there. And she decides to break it and just leaves it on my porch. But she undid my cameras, broke in my house, like the front door is totally
Did you report
busted.
this to law
I did.
enforcement?
Yes.
And they told you to get a protection order?
Yes.
And
Because it's not gonna
if somebody
stop.
breaks into your home, you don't need a protection order. That's a crime in and of itself. So you don't need the fact that you have or don't have an order doesn't make any difference. Because that happens. Just know that.
I just feel without the protection order, it's not gonna stop.
I'm sorry.
I said I feel without the protection order, it's not gonna stop.
And you and her son were never married.
Yeah.
Where's Kenny Road?
Black Lake Boulevard.
And how far away is her home from your home on the property?
Farther than I believe 50 feet for sure. So probably more than even 100.
And does a common driveway come right by your house?
Yes.
So if she's on the driveway, how close is she to your house when she goes by your house?
I'd say 30 feet maybe.
30 feet?
Maybe if that.
Okay, 10 feet, 20 feet?
Probably closer to 20 feet.
Okay. All right, so it looks like did you have somebody serve her that wasn't law enforcement, or was law enforcement the one who did the service?
I had a family member, or yeah, family member serve.
So Courtney Noble is somebody, a friend of yours?
Mhm.
Okay. All right, I'm going to issue the order, but she's going to need to be served again since there was not initially an order.
Okay.
So she'll need to be given, and you're going to have that same person do that?
Mhm.
Okay. All right, so I've signed an order telling Ms. Burkhart to have no contact with you, and I've said she's not to go within 25 feet of you, your car, or your residence. This will need to be served on her because the order can't take effect until she actually has it in her hands. So you want to make sure that you get that served right away.
Okay, thank
And
you.
we'll give you a copy of the service packet here in just a moment. So sit tight. And Mr. Heikla, do you have video capability?
Aye.
Okay, we have you. Thank you. All right, both of you raise your right hands for me, please. Swear that testimony in this case to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Yes.
All right, thank you. And you can put your hand down. Ms. Costa, I have a question for you. Mr. Heikkila is on what's called a stipulated order of continuance out of the city of Yelm on a stalking charge. Were you the victim in that case?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And have you reported to the city of Yelm that you're now here having to file a request for a protection order?
I have spoken with the arresting officer from back in November when he was arrested for this, and he is aware. Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't be the arresting officer you need to speak with. You need to speak to the court because the court has conditions for Mr. Heikkila, which says that starting 4th of January, he's not to have any contact with you for a year. And depending on how he does, the case is either dismissed or he gets convicted on the stalking charge. Telling an officer doesn't, that's, the case is with the court, not with the officer. So you need to report that type of information to the court.
Okay. How do I go about that?
You can contact the prosecutor's office for the city of Yelm. Looks like a Mr. or Ms. Ratfield.
Okay.
All right, so Ms. Costa's indicating in her petition to the court, Mr. Heikkila, that you continue to contact her. You do so through a variety of different profiles. And I will remind you, I've placed you under oath. I know you have a criminal charge. Anything you say here can be used against you in either an additional criminal charge or in revoking the continuance you have on your prior criminal charge. If Mr. Haverco were here, I'm pretty sure he would say, don't you say anything at all. But that's up to you. But you need to understand that having been placed under oath, anything you say could be used against you. And there is a pending criminal charge. And I don't know whether Ms. Costa is going to contact law enforcement to ask for another charge to be filed, but we'll see where that goes. So do you understand that you have the right not to say anything? And you understand that if you do say something, the prosecutor will have access to any statement you make and could potentially use it against you. Mr. Heikkila, you understand that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Ms. Costa, I sort of summarized what you had put in your petition. Is there anything else you want to say?
I just want this to be over with. I just want it behind me. That's all.
So you're indicating that Mr. Heikkila has contacted you since the entry of this continuance back in January on the City of Yelm criminal charge?
Yes, he created another profile on social media and followed me on it.
And what made you think that it was him if it was coming in under a different profile?
It had his name on it. He tends to keep with all of the profiles that he has made, which I think we're up to nine different social media profiles now. He keeps either a picture or his name is somewhere in that.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Heikkila,
Yes.
in your response to the fact that Ms. Costa says you continue to use different profiles to reach her when you're under an order not to?
It depends on which account that she's talking about, Your Honor.
Yeah, I didn't understand anything you said there.
It depends on which account she's talking about. If I'm contacting her through
Wherever you are, you
account,
don't have wherever you are, you don't have any connection that we can understand. You're breaking up.
Okay, hang on. I'm at work and I'm inside a building called a shop. So let me try to go outside. Okay, I'm outside right now. Can you hear me better?
I can hear you better.
Okay. It depends on which account that she's talking about. If I'm contacting her through that account, because right now I don't know which one she's talking about.
Well, my question isn't that. My question is this, and you have the right not to answer it. She's indicated that you well know she doesn't want contact from you. In fact, there's a criminal charge that you not contacting her is dependent on if you want to get that criminal charge dismissed. And she indicates that you continue to contact her in spite of that. So it's pretty clear to me she doesn't want you to continue to contact her. It's clear to me that you should know she doesn't want you to continue to contact her. And she says you have in a number of ways. She said 9 different profiles. Regardless, even if it was one, any attempt to contact her would be a violation. So you have the right not to say anything about any of those contacts because, as I said, they could lead to separate criminal charges or at least the revocation of the criminal case. Or you can tell me, yeah, I'm contacting her. Or you can say, no, I'm not. But you tell me if there's anything you want to say, or you just can say, I don't want to say anything.
Right now I have not even tried contacting her at all in any way, shape, or form. So I don't know why this harassment came up.
All right. And Ms. Costa, when was the last time you received a contact from Mr. Heikela?
About a month ago, so maybe 2 weeks before I was able to obtain the temporary restraining order.
And his name or photo appears on the contact?
Yes, sir. I provided a screenshot for the courts.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Anything else, Mr. Heikela?
No.
Ms. Costa, am I correct? The two of you never dated?
No, sir. He was a customer of mine when I worked at a coffee stand.
Okay. And where are you working now?
I work at a bar down the street called Bob's Bar and Grill.
And where is your residence, generally speaking, in relation to where Mr. Heikela's residence is, Ms. Costa?
I believe it's about 5-minute drive away from where I'm at, but I'm kind of tucked back in, so there's no reason for him to even be going by.
Okay. And where's Bob's?
It's right off the main strip in Yelm.
Okay. All right, Mr. Heikela, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. I've entered this order. Ms. Costa, this order will be in effect for 1 year from today's date. Mr. Heikela, you are to have no contact at all with Ms. Costa. I don't want to hear about you trying to get word to her through any other profile, through any other person. You are to have no contact with her. You're not to go within 1,000 feet of her home, her vehicle. You're not to go to Bob's Bar and Grill where she works. And Ms. Costa, if you want this order renewed, you'll have to come back to court and at that time ask for it to be renewed. This order is in effect under the same terms as the temporary order that had previously been served on Mr. Heikela. And Mr. Heikela is present at the court today and has heard the order, so there is no need for further service on Mr. Heikela. And the order will be in the file. Did we send one out? You can access the copies of the order through the district court file that each of you have. And as I had indicated previously, Ms. Costa, you are welcome to share your thoughts with the prosecutor's office in the city of Yelm regarding the existing continuance order with Mr. or Ms. Ratfield. Or you can give them a copy of the temporary or the full order that I've just entered as an indication that there has been ongoing contact in violation of the court order. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. And I'll, for the record, just call Brian and Kimberly Henderson. They have not appeared. I'm not sure why the Hendersons aren't here. They submitted a lot of paperwork with regard to this situation. I expected them to be here. They're not. Because they're not, I'm going to dismiss the temporary order. I believe there was a temporary order in effect. There was, and I'm going to dismiss that. I do have a comment. I reviewed the video and read the statements. The way you deal with a dispute like this is not back and forth. I'm just going to share it with the two of you, my thoughts from what I've seen. You don't need to tell me your side of it because I've read it and watched it. If you don't agree as to where the fence is, this court can never solve that issue. Superior Court is the one to solve that. And you have to hire a lawyer and you have to go in and do what's called a quiet title action that says who has the right to put a fence where. That's how you do it. You don't do it by throwing things back and forth across the fence. You don't do it by putting up underwear on poles to embarrass your neighbors. You don't yell at them. That is not totally inappropriate. And I would have, had they appeared, I would have entered an order today. So I'm just letting you know that's not the appropriate way to deal with a dispute with your neighbors. So even if they're doing the same thing, you shouldn't respond that way. If you want to get the fence off, you have to go to Superior Court for a quiet title action. Quiet, yep, just like it sounds, quiet title. And that says who has the right to put a fence on the wall, who doesn't. And the court can say where the property line is. All of that is resolved by going to Superior Court.
Your Honor, can I just?
Sure.
We do have a deed of trust, and that deed of trust has extensive, I guess, pre-actions by the trustee and the lender. So, of all these things, I was being advised by the city. I went through the Thurston County. I have a extensive brain stroke April of 2020. And I was in the ICU for close to 13 days. I was laid on top of bed. But my memory washed out. But for crying out loud, it came back. So now I'm a little bit more attentive to these things. And so where we stayed in is Mirada Drive, the subdivision there. There's no homeowners association. But then I relied very closely with the city of Olympia. There are people there that the community development office there, the manager, the supervisor, and then also the workers. So I kind of like make it as the homeowners association on my part, because that is a governing that I am in the city. So what they told me is that before you go to court, because the person, Anderson, they actually want me to sue them. You sue me. That's what they said. But in my communication with the city of Olympia, I was told they are saying outright, we have no jurisdiction. We have very low prior jurisdiction over this one, and this has to go to. I understand that, but based on the information that I'm getting from the city of Olympia, is for me to do get the intervention of all administrative avenues. The city can do, or anything that the city where I am is going to rely on something, and that is the deed of trust. The deed of trust tells exactly what the trustee is going to do and what the lender is going to do. And this, the homeowners of Lot 11 is saying, this is my land. And in the city of Olympia is saying, no, nobody owns, there's no land ownership there. You have fee simple and you have title there. But that's not your land. It's not your land. And I kept explaining this to.
Okay.
But I got it. I got the message from the city. Let the administrative to do its I guess maybe jurisdiction. English is but I'm bilingual, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if I'm using English words that Your Honor. But I was told not to waste the court's time, not to waste, and that's the reason why all this thing. And I understand. I understood it correctly. What I've been told by the manager of community development of city of Olympia. I understand that. And I am going to do that. I'm not going to, whether this thing is everything that is truth to the court or to what to be done is prima facie. That's what it means, is to be truthful. But the papers that is been filed here are full of lies. Is trying to engage the jurisdiction of Thurston County to get this thing. And I'm so glad that somebody's paying attention. And I have valued that. And what we're doing is to open up so that they pay attention to us, because we're telling we don't. This is not our property. This is a property owned by somebody. We're just renting it. And that's the whole issue. And I'm listening well to the people in the city. I started with the county, and they told me, no, you go to the city. So that's what I'm saying. So I have value, and to me, Your Honor, that's an HOA for me. Regardless whether there's the 13 others are not willing to join together, but so
do you own your property or do you lease it?
Well, a mortgage.
we mortgage it.
Okay.
We bought it.
Okay.
And we have a lender that owns that.
Right. Okay.
And the trustee is the one that is insuring to everybody in the world.
Yes.
DRC information. Pamphlet. I'm sure.
Oh, I must search something.
Okay.
Your Honor, if I can just so that so that I have a willing ear, not somebody that is sleeping, but somebody that will we wanted to get to somebody to pay attention to us. But Your Honor, in the write-up, they say there's a video tape that they prepared, and it's ready for review. Well, by the I guess the judge or the arbiter in the court,
Right.
and so that camera, Your Honor, before there's no camera, now there's a camera, but in order for you to ask them, are they pointing that thing to the house next door on a lot 10? It is, because we can see it.
Right.
And that is, my privacy has been hurt.
Okay.
And you know, Your Honor, with all these things, what they did is they blocked me entrance and exit. I do not. And when I contacted the city, I said, what I have a title, a fee simple title for that is, so I have to have four sides: the front, the rear, and the two sides. Right now, I only have three. You know, Your Honor, we cannot even sell that. We are contacting with Remax agent, and they told me, and they told us that encroachment and by the neighbor is lock you. I told him, you lock me.
Okay, so I've heard everything you've said.
Thank you very much.
Yep,
May I speak?
sure.
I hope that's good.
Yes.
You know, I apologize if the neighbors complain because of the smell, odor, or what. The advice that we got is in order for us to continue to remind them that we are upset of their fence, blocking us, and because of that, we are not able to sell our house. We cannot even rent our house to anybody for fear, because they created a ditch, a 3-feet ditch, that a child can get hurt, can be injured. So as soon if anybody wants, if I am going to rent that house and they see that, they will turn away, because nobody will want to invite injury, because it's a ditch between the fence, our retaining wall, and the marker that Henderson provided that says that that is between our marker. No, that marker that they provide on the land, that is it's sort of like an imaginary line. It's a track line. It's supposed to be something like shared space, where because there's a 5 feet and a 5 feet, 5 feet. But see, what they did was they only provide us the 2 feet, because what they did was they blocked the entire thing, and the only opening that was open is the retaining wall, which it's not a passage. There is no way we're going to pass through and again, because of the fireplace, it's only going to be like a 1 foot. So we cannot enter and exit, and no agent would want to sell that house because of that fence. And again, that marker that he provided in the picture, that is like an imaginary line, or they call it the land use. I think that's the word, land use, where both sides should share, because that's what the seller, the builder, the owner, because I bought the house directly from the builder, the contractor, and I asked the contractor, where are my rights? Because I was confused because of the retaining wall, and then there's this space. So the contractor did explain to me, my rights, because I was getting ready to cancel, because I didn't want any problem from my neighbor, and I didn't want the neighbor to complain on me, and I don't want to complain But see, this is what it gets me. And when I was trying to explain to Kimberly Henderson, she told me, and I said, you've got to understand that when I bought this house, I had to understand and to make sure that I have a right to enter and exit on both sides.
Right now, no, you.
So he said, don't worry, nobody. You, Mrs. Agoto, if you want a fence, build your fence on your property, which is the property line. If the Henderson, because at that time there was no owner, that house wasn't finished. If the people on this side wanted a fence, they can build it on their property line. Now, if both sides agree, which has to be 100% mutually agree, then they can place a fence in the center of that, what they call that.
The common space.
Right. Then both sides it can be divided, and both sides can share the cost of the fence. And then I understood it. I was trying to explain that to Kimberly Henderson, but she said, no, because she is pointing to my landscape, my marker on my side. And I said, no, you have your own. That is mine. But she just doesn't want to listen.
All right. So Ms. Aguto, I understand what you're telling me.
Yeah.
And that there's a common space in between.
Right.
We have separate property lines.
Right.
And you're concerned about they're cutting off your use of the common space for entry. So I've heard what you've said.
Yes.
Okay. So that doesn't change at all what I'm saying to you. If you want final resolution of this and you can't work it out in a nice way with the Hendersons, then you have to go to Superior Court to get a quiet title action, which would allow you to use the common space, which would determine what the property lines are. Can somebody have a fence in the common space? All of that would be decided as part of that action. I can't do that here. I can't solve that problem. Okay. The only thing I can tell in cases here are for the people not to talk to each other if they can't do so in a good way. That's all I can do. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you this sheet of paper. There's an organization in town called the Thurston County Dispute Resolution Center, and they take cases just like this. If both parties agree to speak with them, they will have a mediator work with the two of you so that you don't have to work directly, because that's not working very well. So if you use a mediator, they can talk to both of you and see if they can come up with something that you both can agree to without going to court. But there's no other way to resolve this. If this doesn't work, there's no other way to resolve it other than going to court and having the court say, here's where the property lines are and here's what each party can do. The court will do that, but you have to get into Superior Court to do that. But here you can take this and call dispute resolution.
Okay.
Yes, Mr.
Your Honor, can I just add, about 3 months ago, I fell into the ditch. And I'm even now, I'm continually being treated by Kaiser Permanente. Mm-hmm. And they gave me crops and and I got hurt. And I tried to have Kaiser Permanente recoup some expenses from insurer on my behalf. Mm-hmm. So I contacted my home insurance company, and I tried to claim that so that I can Kaiser Permanente can get paid for cost that for injury that and they told me no.
Yeah. So
because this is not the culprit for this is the one that owned the other property. And Your Honor, if I can get the homeowners insurance of that
of the
Anderson, I could submit the claim to that because of, And then Kaiser Permanente is ready to justify those things because
Right. But what's going to happen, Mr. Oguto, is because they claim that property, you claim that property, nobody's going to agree until there's a decision of the court saying whose property it is. So on your insurance claim, until that's resolved, nobody's going to take an action on it. There's
okay,
no
I
insurance
understand you,
company
sir. I mean,
yeah,
I really understand that, and
okay,
but I still need to go through the process of
Sure.
administrative
okay.
intervention, and
Well, I really urge you to call, and the number's on here. If you'll take that to the Dispute Resolution Center and see if the Hendersons are willing to, and the Dispute Resolution Center will call them and see if they can set up a meeting so everybody can get together with the mediator and see if there's a way to solve this without having to pay the money to go into court.
yeah, I don't want the court to be involved with this,
Okay,
like the trustee, but I'm gonna go check the trustee,
okay,
and the trustee is going to, and
right.
I guess the lender, the owner of the lot.
Yeah, at this point, the banks are
We'll
not
take
that
care of that.
interested in it. It's going to be
Thank you,
it's
Your
going to be
Honor.
the Agutos and the Hendersons.
I know that probably the Henderson thinks that he's being loud and what, but because of his stroke,
Mhm.
and the doctors did warn me because I asked the doctor what is the net effect, and she told me that he's going to be loud. You know, his tone is not going to be normal as before.
Yeah.
And then the doctor told me that he gets agitated. He gets agitated, and I realized that.
Yeah.
He gets agitated.
Your Honor.
So maybe I was thinking that maybe
Well, I find them very
Henderson.
pleasant, so.
Your Honor, he's a much better person than me.
But you know, Your Honor, 13 days on ICU, that's not fun.
Yeah.
I don't tell you that.
Oh,
But you know, I'm glad God blessed me.
all right,
Thank you, Your Honor.
thank you.
Your
Appreciate
Honor.
Bye-bye.
You're
This is that's a moral way to.
oh,
Guess I didn't get it. Swear the testimony in this case to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
I do.
Thank you. And Ms. Peace, I think you indicated in your petition that Ms. Graham is your fiance's ex-girlfriend, is that right?
Correct.
And that she's been sending you lots of texts, which you don't want to receive, and also that she's been posting a lot of negative comments about you.
Correct, Your Honor. A lot of negative false comments.
Okay. So have you told Ms. Graham that you don't want her to contact you, or have you made that clear to her in some
Yes,
way?
multiple times in the messages.
Okay, tell me about that.
When she first messaged me, when she found out that we got engaged, to tell me that my ring she had supposedly picked out when they dated, and it was a secondhand ring.
Right. No, I saw those. So just tell me, how did you tell her you didn't want her contacting you?
Oh, well, the first time in the message, I believe I asked multiple times to leave us alone, to stop messaging me, multiple times throughout the direct messages that were sent back and forth.
Okay. All right. So I did, in reading those, I did see it was kind of a, as you said, a back and forth. She would insult you, you would insult her. It kind of went back and forth that way through a lot of messages. At some point in there, and maybe I missed it, did you say, I'm done, I don't want to hear from you anymore?
I believe I used the verbiage of leave us alone. We don't want to speak with you, to stop harassing me, my fiance, and his friends.
Okay. All right. And Ms. Graham, anything you want to say?
Yes, Your Honor. Ashley is asking for a restraining order, keeping me away from there. This is a ridiculous and baseless request because her complaints don't make any claim I stalked or threatened her or done anything in her physical presence. And B, if her family and her were so worried about my physical proximity, why did the aunt travel 3 counties from Thurston to Pierce to King to Snohomish County to personally serve these papers to my mom's house? It is actually not me who is engaging in harassing behavior by misusing the court system as a weapon against me. If I was such a threat, why wasn't I blocked to begin with? Ashley bases most of her claims off hearsay about what I supposedly said to other people. These claims are untrue and no basis for a restraining order. I'm asking to remove any evidence that was given off Facebook. I have done nothing to harass, intimidate Ashley, and I have no intentions of doing so. Even without a restraining order, I have no interest in having any further contact with her.
Okay. So I'll ask you first, Ms. Graham. When was the last time you sent any message to Ms. Pease?
I've had 2 conversations with Ms. Pease. One in the beginning, about a year ago. That was just a friendly conversation of trying to get clarity on a situation with my ex because he was making a lot of, kind of manipulating me in a way. And I was trying to clarify some information with her. The next time I spoke with her was maybe about a week ago. I've only spoken to her twice. And like I said, I have no interest in.
Why did you reach out to her recently?
Because from what I can tell from our first conversation, what it looks like is a girl who was jealous, who made some statements and was maybe investigating the possibility that my ex had been allegedly making false statements towards me as well. And then after we had broken up, I haven't even been to the Elm area since our breakup. About 2 months after, before me and Dustin had broken up, I had told Dustin to continue, maybe that he should date Ashley. Then she posts a photo on Facebook of a ring that looks similar to the ring that me and Dustin had picked out at the store. From my perspective, it looks like a taunting attempt to try and get back at me as revenge, or maybe some jealous plot.
Okay.
Your Honor, if I may.
Yeah, hold on just a second,
Okay.
please. And you're up in Monroe, is that right, Ms. Graham?
No, Your Honor. Those papers were misserved. They were served to my mom's house. I currently live in Everett at an apartment.
Okay, but so you're up in Snohomish County?
Yes.
Okay. Right, as I had indicated at the beginning, having read the messages, there was a lot of back and forth. You were both, in Ms. Graham's words, taunting each other. You were both pouring a little gasoline on the fire. So, you know, it's this isn't a situation of somebody not wanting to be contacted and just not responding. Somebody is responding in kind to what she is seeing. So, that's a little bit problematic, but it's clear to me that Ms. Graham has reached out at a point where it was clear that contact wasn't desired. And we do have the ability to tell people we don't want to hear from them. And if they continue to contact us, that can be harassing. And in this case, I will find that it was. So I will enter the order. Ms. Pease's order will be in effect for 1 year from today's date. It's entered under the same terms as the temporary order. So Ms. Graham, you cannot contact Ms. Pease in any fashion. You're not to go within 1,000 feet of her residence or her workplace. And leave it at that. I sign the order. It will be available to each of you in the district court file for this case. And it does not need to be served on Ms. Graham since she's present for the hearing today, and it's under the same terms as the temporary order that was issued in this case. All right. Thank you both.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So I have to print my name. Oh my gosh, the annoyance.